Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY. That's 467-369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly on behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort in Kansas. 21 plus age and eligibility varies by jurisdiction. Void in New Hampshire, Oregon, and Ontario. Bonus bets expire 168 hours after issuance. For additional terms and responsible gaming resources, see dkng.co/football.
Welcome again, everybody, to Bear Bets, presented by DraftKings Sportsbook. DraftKings Sportsbook is the #1 place to bet touchdowns this season. And this week, new customers can bet $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if your first bet wins. Download the DK Sportsbook app. Use the code BearBets. That's BearBets, 2 words. When you sign up, DraftKings Sportsbook, the crown is yours. I got a little bit of the best place to bet touchdowns there. And last week with my NFL Sunday, that worked out. I had took some crowns from the sponsor.
I am very bad at touchdown wagers. I decided just to go for long shots every game. Like first touchdown, just take the long shots.
Yeah, I usually they do a great job of doing the NFL touchdown scorer boost. And
I just don't hit them ever.
I found 4, and then when Kyron Williams scored right out of the gate, we cashed. It was nice.
Maybe to text you to tell me what to do. How about that?
We can do that.
Yeah,
we can do that. Well, as we steamroll towards the bottom here, as we normally do on the Bear Bets podcast, why not start with the race to the bottom? We were talking about the 1 seed with the Lions, Eagles, Chiefs, Bills. Let's talk about something near and dear to our hearts: the race to the worst record in the National Football League. I wish I would have saved and bookmarked those tweets from before the years from all those Giants fans who told me I had no idea what I was talking about and taking the Giants at 12-1 to have the worst record in the NFL, as now they are a -140 favorite to have the worst record in the NFL. So, I mean, look, you're going to lose this week against the Ravens. Tommy Cutlets is your quarterback the rest of the way. You go to the Falcons, you got the Colts, you got the Eagles, and who knows what. This is a team that's not going to win again the rest of the year.
Correct. Right? Bear, it's not that they are bad. It's they're bad and not talented. Like other teams that we talk about on this list, like you can make a case, okay, the Patriots have Drake May and some Christian Gonzalez on defense. Like they have these
Raiders, have Max Crosby.
Yes,
you got
something there. Give me something for the Giants. Dexter Lawrence out for the season. Andrew Thomas been out for a lot.
Neighbors is negated because he's hurt and they don't have a quarterback.
Correct. And they don't have a quarterback. Tommy Cutlets is not a good quarterback. It's a fun story, not a good quarterback. So they're back to him, right? Because Drew Lock is out this week. So you're back to Tommy Cutlets. You don't have a good defense. You don't have a good offense. So it's all of these wrapped into one. Look, the Panthers, their win total is 4.5 right now. They're playing better football. They might not beat the Cowboys this weekend as their favorite,
right,
but you can see the direction of wins at some point to end the season. There's no direction for the Giants. They are not going to win a game unless the Eagles in week 18 decide we have the 1 seed. Right. We're not going to play one. But even then, Bear, I do not believe the Giants are guaranteed to win a game when the Eagles sit 8 starters.
No, I would agree with you. And like you said, you look at a team like the Raiders, they could potentially win this week against the Falcons. They got the Jaguars, the Chargers, who knows what type of wild card position they're going to be locked into the final week. I mean, their paths there. You've got the Patriots talking about a report like Dredd Mayo is coaching for his job. Who knows if that's true? I mean, they've actually shown competence this year. But again, you're looking at 2 against the Bills. Are they the sneaky team that might sneak in here under 3.5? Like I have an all-win total on them under 3.5 from the beginning of the year. Like could they potentially lose out? You got 2 against the Bills, 1 against the Chargers, and 1 at Arizona, who seems to be going the wrong way.
Probably, unless that week 18 game against Buffalo.
Yeah.
That's the only thing. If they have a seed locked up, they might not be trying.
Right. Like that's the thing. If they are within 1 game of the Chiefs, then you have to hope that somehow the Chiefs, I think, play the Broncos that weekend as well. Maybe the Broncos.
No, it's last week of the year's Broncos. Yes.
So maybe there's a game, and then if the Bills win, then you can potentially lock in that number one seed, or I should say a 3.5. So yeah, but I think I think we clearly are in agreement with the Giants are the favorite there to get that number one seed. And quick little roundup of a bunch of losers. Now we're going to take you to another roundup of a bunch of losers. Jeff and I are joined by Sammy P and Will Hill, the gambling group chat. I was kidding before. There aren't a bunch of losers. Maybe I'm a loser, but Sammy P and Will are not losers. Always fun to kick around the gambling group chat again as Sammy P and Will Hill join Jeff and I right now for the gambling group chat. And we're just going to kick it off right away with the biggest game of the week, which is our Super 6 game of the week presented by DraftKings Sportsbook. Column will be coming out. And then, of course, one of the questions is going to be, what will the outcome of the Eagles-Steelers game be? Potential Super Bowl preview. The Eagles laying 5.5 right now over the Steelers. Jeff will have more on this game later in the show. But this feels like a spot for me where we're going to learn a lot more about the Steelers. Like, they have the stretch coming up now. People haven't been buying it all year. All they do is keep winning, but we know no Pickens. They got some injuries on the defensive side of the ball. Eagles' offensive line is good. Receivers maybe asking for more of the ball from Jalen Hurts. I think the Eagles are going to come out, play well. I would lay the points here with Philadelphia. Sammy, what say you?
I'm right on the number. I'm Philly 4 points better on a neutral, and then you add a 0.8 for home field.
I thought NFL home field was 3 points all the time, though.
No, it hasn't been that way in about 10 years, unfortunately. Believe it or not. I like the under 42.5. Now, this has come down a bit. Remember, the look ahead was 45.5, and now DraftKings dealing you 42.5. I don't think Pittsburgh wants any part of a shootout. And of course, the big story for Pittsburgh, George Pickens. Will he play? If he does, can he execute and do the things they need him to do? Without that deep threat against this defense, you're going to see a lot of running the football for Philly with Hurts and Barkley. Keep Philadelphia on the field, milk the clock, get out of there with a win, like a 24-20 type win. Oh, actually, that's over. How about 2017? 2017 is what I meant to say.
Math is not your strong suit.
I'm a tout now.
68%.
A little better there.
Under.
I like the under too for a lot of the reasons Sammy mentioned. And Pittsburgh has faced two running quarterbacks, which Hurts is. They faced Jaden Daniels and they faced Lamar Jackson. They held both to combine like 49 yards, under 50 yards between the two of them. I think they match up well against running quarterbacks. No Pickens. And Tomlin's just going to try to play Tomlin ball, punt, kick field goals, field position. Philly likes to run the ball. Their passing game was atrocious last week against Carolina. I don't know. Forget what Hurts ended up with, but I remember middle of the fourth quarter, he had like 77 yards passing. That's against Carolina where you can run the ball and have play action. So to me, yeah, I'm with Sammy. Laying points against Tomlin, not a very profitable endeavor. Usually I do think Philly wins. I'm not dying to lay it, but I do think we get a, what's a good score that actually would stay under? Yeah, I think Sammy's 20-14, 20-17. Numbers that actually add up to an under, I think is the way this game plays out.
I just want the record to show I picked the over and the under, so I win.
There you go. You win either way.
Well, if you have a lean, it only counts if you win, though. So don't worry. Yes. I will say this about the Eagles, sort of the noise around them, right? When a team like the Eagles has noise, and they had this last year, but we didn't know it was behind the scenes. And they're a veteran team. They got good football players. They're a good football team. I would expect a better performance offensively, especially in the passing game against. And Steelers defense is good, but we know the Eagles have a good offensive line, and a lot of times you don't want the noise to continue. So what do? You pass the ball. You show the world that, okay, we can actually do this now. And so I do think the Eagles try to score a bunch of points. I think they can score a bunch of points in this game. And I get it. Betting against Tomlin is not the spot you want to be in when he is an underdog. But it feels like everyone's going to bet on the Eagles, on the Steelers this weekend, right? The Eagles have drama on their team, right? They played poorly against the Panthers. Here comes Pittsburgh off of multiple wins in a row, right? And a lot of points scored, and Tomlin never loses or never, he always covers, I should say, as a dog. It feels like everyone's going to be in that direction. I kind of want to be on the other side. I'm not sure I'd lay it with the Eagles quite yet. If I hear Pickens is not playing, I feel more comfortable doing that. But guys, I think Eagles is the right side here for the reasons I've laid out. And Bear, no matter how many times you say this will be a Super Bowl matchup, It will not be. Pittsburgh is not making the Super Bowl.
You're so confident in the Chiefs getting back to the Super Bowl. Mr. Schwartz over there. Yeah,
One last quick one, Bear. I'm curious. Is this the time to jump in on Baltimore, like plus 185, plus 190 for a division? They've got some ground to make up, but Pittsburgh, I mean, look at the next 3 games. At Philly, at Baltimore, where Baltimore can make up a game head-to-head. Then the Chiefs, then the Bengals. Ravens are 16-point favorites this week. They got some easier games to close things out. Can they make up the 3 games? And it reminds me a little bit of Tampa, Atlanta, 4 or 5 weeks ago, when you look at the schedule and say, man, I know Tampa's a few games out, but they might be in first place a month later. And they are. I don't know. Do you guys feel the same way?
Yeah, I think they certainly can, because the Ravens will have that win in the bank from the Giants game. Yeah, I think that's probably worth the play. I would do that. Geoff? Yeah.
I look, I've not been to the Steelers all year. They made me look stupid. Maybe they would make me look stupid now if I take the Ravens, but their schedule dictates that you're going to probably lose a couple of these games. But what happens if they lose this weekend, beat the Ravens, and lose to the Chiefs? Like, they have to lose the certain.
What are the tiebreaks? They're going to split the regular season meeting. What are the tiebreaks? So
it really comes down to, are the Ravens going to beat them when they play in a couple weeks? If you think they are, then this is a good wager. Yes,
it is. And of course, the Steelers have already won 5 games outright as an underdog this week, and they will look to make it 6 Sunday in Philly. Well, Geoff likes to have fun and kid about me saying Steelers-Eagles could be a preview of a Super Bowl matchup. But this is a game coming up now that I do think a lot of people, if it were the Super Bowl in New Orleans on February 9th, that no one would be surprised. The Bills going to the Lions. Bills coming off that performance at SoFi last week. Great game, high-scoring game. Tough road loss. However, the Lions again found a way to win a game that maybe they were a little for. Maybe the Lions got a little bit of Chiefs in them too now. Everyone kind of gives the Chiefs a hard time about winning these close games, but the Lions have had a knack of doing it well. Lions now 12-1 on the year, a 2.5-point home favorite against the Bills. I keep going back and forth on this game. Total of 54.5. I kind of think this game might go under. I think a lot of times you might be so fearful of the opposing offense imposing their will on you. Maybe you're taking a little bit out of your game plan. Maybe you never want to sacrifice what you do best to hurt your chances of winning a game. But this seems like a game where maybe the Lions can run the ball a little bit. Maybe we see a little bit more Josh Allen design runs, and it just maybe not up and down the field like the Bills were on the road last week against the Rams. So I would lean under 54.5. No feel on the side. Will, any thoughts here on Bills Lions?
I feel like the Lions are due to get picked off here, and due is that dangerous word when you're when you're betting, when you're talking about betting. But you mentioned it. They escaped on Thanksgiving. Now, they were in control early, but they could have easily lost at the end there against the Bears. They could have easily lost a coin flip game against the Packers. And Geoff, I'm sure you could speak to this, but I've heard a lot of the film guys say this is a good matchup for the Bills because Detroit's pretty straightforward, man-to-man coverage, single high safety, stuff that Allen is comfortable playing against. Man, I get what you're saying about the over 54.5 in this modern NFL. Boy, that's a ton of points. I would look at it more like, hey, if both teams go 3 and out and you're sitting there scoreless with 5-6 minutes left in the fourth quarter and you can play a depressed over at 48.5, 49.5, I think maybe this game is just slow to start and then it opens up. So if there is a slow start, I'd look towards the over. I have a feeling the Bills pick them off. The Lions are still beat up defensively. I think the Bills will move the ball up and down the field, Geoff. So I just think it's hard to win 12, 13 games in a row in the NFL. So I think the Bills break through here and beat Detroit.
I mentioned last week when we talked Rams, Bills, I thought it was the time for the Bills to lose, right? They were super hot. They just come off this big emotional snow game against the Niners. We're going across the country, and they got picked off. It was a game I didn't think we were going to see a 44-42 game. I didn't think it'd be like that, but they got picked off, right? They ended up with a coaching gaffe at the end of the game, obviously, and they had an L. And the Lions are in the same spot Buffalo's been in, where they're itching for a loss. Every team, the Chiefs are itching for a loss too, right? But they play the Browns. They don't play the Bills this week. So it does feel like this is a situation where just from the structure of a season, right, the Lions are sort of due for a loss. Buffalo's off a bad game. I would expect their defense to play better. They got embarrassed on national television, right? They want to play better defensively. And at some point, someone's going to take advantage of the Lions defense not being good. The Packers almost did, but couldn't get enough stops at the end. So, Sammy, I lean Buffalo here for those reasons. I think teams are very equal and even, but I also have Josh Allen versus Jared Goff. I know the Lions have more weapons and a better offensive line, but if the game comes down to needing a play at the end of the game, I like Josh Allen's chance.
I like Buffalo better against the run than I do against the pass as well. I mean, Stafford, Kupp, and Nakua just shredded them. And then Demarcus Robinson had a big first half as well, stretching the field. Follow the money in this game, guys. They reopened it in Vegas at 3, and that lasted about 10 minutes. The threes went bye-bye. They took the 3, and then the second push came in at 2.5. So to take 2.5 is a big position off that 3 to knock it down to 2. Now, there has been some buyback. DraftKings says 2.5 right now. Look at how Detroit has done against mobile quarterbacks. They haven't faced a lot, but they've been carved on the ground almost every time, including last year when Justin Fields rushed for 160 yards in 2 games. 160. Imagine what
Crazy.
Josh Allen can do. And he's also not going to run around you. He's going to run through you. The key to beating Detroit, getting ahead early and making Dan Campbell do Dan Campbell things. The Bills have the formula for that, Bear.
Yeah, I certainly think they do, and this would go a long way in determining the 1 seed in the AFC because the Bills would ultimately have that head-to-head tiebreak. This is a massive game for Buffalo to continue that quest for the 1 seed in the AFC as well. Yeah, so we'll see if the Lions can handle Josh Allen Sunday, and that defense, which is riddled with injuries, can stand up and contain them. The more and more I'm listening to Sammy and Will, I might be on the Bills getting those points on Sunday in addition to my underplay. Lions 2 road games after this at the Bears, who knows what's going to happen in Chicago. At the Niners, we'll find out more about the Niners, what they have left to play for, especially after the result Thursday night against the Rams, and then a division game against the Vikings, which might wind up meaning something. So it really is crazy that you've got a 12-1 team here in the Lions, but really nothing is solved yet. They haven't wrapped up the division, haven't wrapped up a 1 seed, haven't done anything just because of the quality of play from both Minnesota and the Eagles. But a good one Sunday afternoon in Motown. Really fascinating game on Thursday night. 49ers hosting the Rams. This division has been in upheaval for the last month, the entire season. Looked like for a while that the Cardinals were in control, where the Niners were right there. Then the Niners' injuries just wouldn't get solved. Like, we don't know if Garando is going to play tonight or not. I should say Thursday night, depending on when you're listening to this. But you look at the Niners running back depth chart after Garando: Patrick Taylor, Keyshawn Vaughn, and Izzy Abanikanda. That's what the Niners are looking at tonight. I know there are a lot of people who think George Kittle could have a big game tonight, so we'll see if the former Iowa Hawkeye tight end can have a good game. Brock Purdy, who's played really well, but just this team, we've kind of talked about it all year long. Will, it just doesn't feel like it's their year, and you hate to be cliche and not really offer up any more than that, but it's kind of everything that could have gone wrong has gone wrong. They are going to need a lot of help to ultimately win this division after tonight. They got a game against Miami. They got the game against Detroit, and then they go to Arizona. So it's certainly doable. If they put it together, they could finish 10-7, and who the hell knows what would happen then. But any loss, I think, ultimately does do them in, because blowing those 3 division games like they did against Arizona, Seattle, and the Rams earlier in the year, this could be a team that, as many problems as they've had, could be 9-4 right now. But I would look at playing the Niners tonight. I think the Rams have so much momentum, and there is so many questions about the Niners. But again, maybe I'm going to just hate myself for doing it. But I have a feeling I'm going to be sitting there tonight when I get to my hotel in Florida and kick back, watch this game, and having Niners -2.5 in my pocket. Sammy, any thoughts on this one?
I bet -130 and -135. Now, the best price you can get right now, -140. It did dip a little bit Thursday morning. People started to knock those threes down to 2.5. And of course, that's going to cheapen the money line. I'm willing to find out if this Rams team is as good as they looked last week. Remember, that was the first time this season they scored more than 30 points. First time.
It's crazy. You think with all the talent that
And
they've had.
you watch a lot of the media on Monday and Tuesday, and, the Rams could beat anybody, and don't let the Rams get in. The Rams are still a bottom 10 defense. They got their A-plus game on Buffalo. Everybody watched it on national television. Tom Brady's on the call. Everybody's happy. Everybody's pumped. I don't think they can do that in back-to-back weeks, and I am willing to find out. If you want to lay 2.5 at -110, go for it. I just want to win. Just win, baby, and knock the Rams back to 500, where they belong and where they've been all season.
Yeah, the Rams for me have been like the hardest team to figure out. Are they good? Are they bad? Are they okay? I guess it just depends what week, where they can certainly look like any of the three. I lean towards San Francisco. I think of the what is it? The gif of the Undertaker, where he's coming out of the he's starting to rise up again, like you think he's down and out, and he starts to sit up. Maybe that's them. It looks like Guerrero is going to play, and they are really testing the idea, the theory that, hey, it really doesn't matter who plays running back, because, you plug in that guy, he looks fine. You never heard of him 3 weeks ago, and he looks like an all-pro. So I would look towards San Francisco. I'd actually look towards Deebo Samuel, too. He can get over his receptions, 4.5.
Yeah.
I mean, this is one. Season's on the line. Their playoffs start right now. They need to win out. Don't you just feed your best player? Don't you feed Deebo Samuel rushing, receiving, get him the ball as much as possible? So I'd look at Deebo over, and I lean towards the Niners here.
Look, the Rams, to you guys' point, have been an interesting team this year, right? Because they've had sometimes they look good, sometimes they look bad. I just don't know how good the Niners are. Like, they beat a pretty bad Bears team that had made a coaching change and looked horrendous. But when they played competent teams, it has not gone terribly well this season, right? I mean, I look at the schedule right now. You can see, like, obviously we know what happened in the snow in Buffalo. Maybe just credit that, to Buffalo. But they lost the Packers, lost the Seahawks, obviously lost the Chiefs, blew a game against the Cardinals, lost the Rams earlier this season. Like, they beat the Bucs when the Bucs were super injured, and they beat the Cowboys, and then they beat the Bears team. I just don't think the Niners are very good. All the injuries have caught up to them. What's happening offensive line, like who's on defense, who's hurt on defense, running back. I wouldn't put money on San Francisco. I guess I'm against you guys in this one. I'm not sure I'd wager on the Rams either in this game. I like the Deebo angle. He got a lot of touches last game, but didn't get a lot of yards. Kind of screen passes, got tackled and stuff. They very clearly were targeting him against Chicago. And, maybe there's a little bit of fate at Brock Purdy, who was coming off an injury. He looked incredible last weekend. He went over his passing number, I think, by halftime, and then continued to go over and over and over. So maybe a Deebo over receptions and look at fading Purdy off a hot weekend. But I'm not betting the Niners in this game.
Well, the hope is there. Bosa might play. That's possible. Greenlaw was a full participant in practice this week, and then Hufanga's back.
I could use him.
So that defense, certainly a lot better if all of those three guys are on the field.
Absolutely.
Maybe you get 2 of 3. If you get 3 of 3, I'll be ecstatic if Bosa plays.
Jeff, does it matter from a player's perspective that the 49ers had a rocking chair win where they can kind of, take the foot off the gas the second half? Meanwhile, the Rams are playing down to the last play, a back and forth game against the Bills. The fact that it's on a short week, does that factor in at all? Or
I don't think so. I don't think that factors very much. I mean, I think just both teams having to play a short week, and depending on your age, right? Like, if you're an older player, this is much tougher win, loss, or draw from the previous week than it would be otherwise. I don't think that's a big deal for this game. I mean, the Niners starters, Kyle Shanahan plays them forever. They played late into that game, right? I mean, I don't think Shanahan's not a guy that ever pulls them out. So they still played most of the snaps, if I recall. And I don't think that's going to change very much.
Well, a game that the Niners will certainly have their eye on come Sunday night. Another good Sunday night game. Green Bay going to the red-hot Seattle Seahawks, who you typically do not play well at home. They've not played well at home all year, but they've found some things. They've won 4 games in a row, and they're a 2.5-point home underdog, total of 45.5, 46, depending on where you're shopping around. Green Bay, the hard luck loser at Detroit. We've talked about this. Like, what? Well, you just mentioned about how, what are the Rams? Like, I still want to know, like, what are the Packers? Like, I keep kind of being on the fence about this team, and they go out and they play really well in a blowout win over San Francisco. And then there were times last week, again on Thursday night, against the Lions, where you could make the argument they were the better team and were kind of unfortunate in losing that game. But give Seattle and Mike McDonald credit, like with the changes they made on the defensive side of the ball, they have improved a ton. A game maybe they shouldn't have won against the Jets, but Leonard Williams made a big play. You hold Arizona to 6 and 18 points. The late comeback win against the 49ers. So they are living right here, and I don't particularly feel like trying to fade. Geoff, you were just talking about I don't feel like getting involved in San Francisco and the Rams. I don't feel like getting involved in Green Bay and Seattle in this game, but I'm just gonna sit back and watch this one.
I think Seattle is the right side in this game, even though the right side for Seattle, depending on given weeks. I mean, do you need pick sixes to win, which happened a couple times,
exactly.
right? They play well Arizona, but I just think, Seattle's just a tough place to play. And to your point, it hasn't been as tough as usual. But I just tend to lean guys with Seattle getting points at home with a Packers team off a big win, right, Bear? I mean, you talked about. I've been higher on the Packers than you have. I know the Packers lost the Lions, right? That the last game, the previous game. I have that right. Yeah, right. Lost the Lions in that tough game. But I like Seattle here, guys, getting points at home against a Packers team that I think is good, not great. So I would lean Seattle here. Obviously 3, which is where I think it opens, Sammy, is much better than it is now. I'm curious if anyone is willing to take kind of the 2.5 number.
Oh, it's a great teaser leg, man. Holy cow.
Yes.
Seattle up to 8.5, go through 3, 4, 6, 7, and 8. 8, a lot more important in the NFL these days with the way these teams go for 2.
Absolutely.
Talk me out of a Seattle plus 8.5 and a Minnesota just to win the game teaser, Will. Can you?
No, I can't. I won't. How about a Washington leg? That's good against the Saints, who are playing. I think Aaron Brooks may be coming out of retirement to play quarterback for the Saints. It's just going to be ugly for the Saints there. Yeah, look, there are some 3s out there, and let's just say home field. It's not what it used to be, but Seattle's got a really good home field. Let's just, to use round numbers, let's give them 2. Let's give Packers 2. So if you played this game in Green Bay, this line would be 6.5, 7.
No chance.
That just doesn't seem right to me. 4.5, 5 on a neutral field. I just think these teams are much closer than that. I'll take Seattle. There's no point taking 2.5 unless it's right before kickoff, because hey, a 3 might pop up if you have enough books, or if you wait long enough. But it's definitely a bet on Seattle for me, Bear.
Yeah, it's so any takers maybe on you look at Seattle's schedule here. If they do lose, you've got a game against the Vikings next week, and then you still got a road game against the Bears. Like I said, who the hell knows what's going to be going on there? And then a game with the Rams. Like, coming off the discussion we just had with the Niners, like maybe their defense is getting healthy. You know what I'm going to say, Will.
I know.
Go ahead and answer it.
Seahawks to miss.
We can't quit them.
10-1 to win the division, right?
Is that the best number out there? It
I
feels
think,
like, man, if you really think that's the way to play, just play maybe game by game, because there's a lot of dominoes that have to fall in place for that to happen. But hey, if you just kind of set it and forget it, you bet it and forget about it. I couldn't talk you out of it, but it just feels like, man, we're all year we've been chasing a falling knife with this 49er team.
You're
it
right.
feels like, we're going to end up with some bloody hands here.
Think about what the price could go to if the Rams lose tonight and the Seahawks lose on Sunday. I know that the Niners have not looked great, but they start getting guys back. Trent Williams comes back. I don't know if McCaffrey plays again this season. I've heard mixed reports. But look at that division. It's so bad and nobody wants to win. Anything is possible in the NFC West.
I don't even think those teams are that bad. I think they're like all okay. I think Seattle's okay. Arizona's okay.
Yeah,
I don't think they're like I think the AFC South is bad. I think the NFC West is just like a bunch of decent teams.
And that's
Fair.
why
Bad's the wrong word.
And that's why we keep hoping and wishing and have these visions of what we've seen in the past. But Geoff Schwartz, credit to you for the Tampa Bay Bucks division bet.
Yes.
In that division, they go on the road as a 3-point underdog this week against the Chargers, who finally lost a game this past weekend in a game that hurt me. Looked like the Chiefs were the right side in that game, and then the second half was a complete 180 from the first half, and the Chiefs did Chiefs things and handed the Chargers
ridiculous
a loss. It really was unbelievable that the Chiefs did not
up 13-0 halftime against a team that can't pass
and
the
they
football.
couldn't do a thing.
Correct.
They couldn't do a thing on offense, and now you got a Bucks defense that you wouldn't think the Chargers are going to be able to run the ball on that Tampa front. Jim Harbaugh typically does very well after a loss. another closely aligned game. I would grab the points with Tampa here. I think offensively they have weapons. I like their defense, and you saw like the comment from Justin Herbert. Like, yeah, my ankle's not as bad as it could be. So who the heck knows what that means? But this Tampa team, I think, just continues to get disrespected, lack of respect all year long, and somehow I think they're going to wind up winning that division, even with 2 losses to the Falcons. But I would grab the 3 here, Sammy, with Tampa Bay.
I know a really sharp guy in Vegas. That's his favorite bet this week. Not my bet, his bet. Tampa +3. Okay. I would be surprised if Herbert doesn't play. He's a tough son of a gun, as Hawk Harrelson used to say. Tough son of a gun. I expect him to play. What's up with McConkey, though? They could not move the ball without McConkey the game before against Atlanta. And then they pulled 2 touchdowns out of nowhere in Kansas City where they're down 13-0. And then somehow it's 14-13. No Dobbins, McConkey banged up, Herbert banged up. And the Bucs have a lot to play for in this spot. So Mayfield's also been really good against the number. I see this in the rundown. I didn't even realize this until just now. 20-12 ATS with the Bucs. That'll get you a job on ESPN these days, guys. Going 20 for 32.
All right, so I wrote for Fox Sports about a month ago. Bucs were +400 to win the division. I gave that out as a bet. I looked at the schedules. I thought it was very doable. But I mean, let's just look at who Tampa's beat. I mean, Tommy DeVito, Aiden O'Connell. They were going to lose to Carolina, but Chuba Hubbard fumbles in overtime. So maybe we should probably pump the brakes a little bit on Tampa. A lot of this has been schedule based. That being said, I don't really want to lay 3 with the Chargers, so I passed the game.
I just don't know what the Chargers have really done to be favored by 3 in this game. Like I think Tampa they're about even, right? Like there's no home field advantage in this game, right? And if you have all the injuries that you have on the Chargers side, we just listed all of them. They're plentiful. And Herbert will play. He's basically played every time he's been hurt. He rarely sits out. I just don't know what the Chargers have done to be favored by 3. Are you taking the close Chiefs win? I get a Chiefs loss in consideration here. Even them, I mean, they should be 0-2 the last 2 games, right? The Falcons lost. They should have lost to the Falcons. They didn't. And they were outplayed by the Chiefs for most of that game. And the Chiefs did Chief things, and that game ended up being a field goal because why wouldn't it be? So I don't know why they're favored. I would certainly take Tampa. I've been on Tampa Bay now for a month. Will mentioned his wager. I have the wager as well. Taking them against the spread now a couple weeks, and I'm comfortable with Tampa here plus the 3 points.
So you just mentioned the Chiefs. Are the Chiefs going to do Chiefs things this week as a 4-point favorite in Cleveland?
Well, can we find out first from Sammy's guy if the 12-1 Chiefs, how do they compare to other 12-1 teams? It's really important to find out if they're like going to be, if they're close to other 12-1 teams. Sammy, can you ask your guy what the point spread would be against other 12-1 teams from the past? Just so we have
I can ask him.
Okay, yeah, just so we know. No,
I won't have an answer by the end of the show. Sorry.
How would they do against 2019 LSU, though?
Yeah.
What about, honestly, the 85 Bears would ragdoll this Chiefs team.
So here's my Chiefs take. I do waver on how I feel about them. One hand, I don't know what they do great right now. Chiefs fans are, they win games, and that certainly is a quality that they have. But Wanya Morris is playing left tackle against Myles Garrett this week, which is certainly not fantastic. It does sound like that. It sounds like Humphreys won't play this weekend. But here's the thing about the Chiefs too. So the last 3 games, they're up 20-9 at halftime against the Panthers. So double-digit lead. Mm-hmm. They're up 16-3 against the Raiders in the third quarter, double-digit lead. 13-0 against the Chargers at halftime. Every game was within a field goal. So you make the argument of like the Chiefs just sort of stop trying at some point. Are they just good in the first half? So if they decide at some point, I would imagine it's the postseason or maybe Christmas against Pittsburgh to actually give a full 60-minute effort, they'll win and cover this game. But guys, Jameis Winston, oh buddy, it is not good. We made that over 3.5 win wager, Bear.
Yep.
They have 3. I don't know, man.
I don't know if you're getting there.
I need one more win from the Browns. So that's a long way to say I just have nothing in this game, Will. I'm not betting on the Chiefs. I'm not betting on the Browns. Maybe there's a prop I like somewhere along the line. Maybe a Chubb under. They've used him less and less. And the Chiefs have a good run defense, but nothing for me.
I feel like I haven't benefited enough from these Chief like losing streak against the spread. And if I jump in, it's like, what's the saying? If you're not there for the wedding, don't be there for the funeral. That being said, if anything, I take the points here. We've seen the Browns play up at home against better teams. They beat the Ravens. That game was in Cleveland. They beat the Steelers that Thursday night in Cleveland. The Chiefs, that pass defense, I think, is a major concern. Jalen Watson must be like one of the best corners in the league because since he went out, they stink defensively, struggle against tight ends. So, would anyone be shocked if it's another, 21-19 Chiefs doinking in a field goal at the buzzer? We've seen it so many times. We're conditioned to expect it. So it'd be Browns or nothing for me.
You don't want to know what my number on this game is, guys, on KC Cleveland. 6.5 is what I think it should be.
There's a chance in hell I'd lay 6.5.
Right, but I think the true number, the raw number, is much higher than 4. The problem is you have this perception now, like the mailman yesterday is like, "Oh, Chiefs haven't covered in a while." I'm like, dude, shut up, get out of here.
But some of that is the Watson stats are baked in too. You got to get rid of some of those because they at least have a functioning like quarterback with a pulse since Winston took over.
Is this a bartender game, Sammy? The Chiefs don't cover the game. Browns +4. He's not that sophisticated, is he?
I honestly, the bartender's better than me this year.
I know, he's so good. He's been really good.
He just takes the most public side and then they all win. If you think the Chiefs win, which I don't think any of us are going to call for the upset here, is it possible that the Browns win? Yes, but I like to bet against Jameis at a small number. How about a Chiefs money line parlay with Carolina? DraftKings is giving you +160 right now. So you get to bet against Dallas with a team that's played really well. Panthers have covered 5 in a row. Panthers to win, Chiefs to win, +160. That's not the worst idea, Bear.
The Panthers keep covering, though, as underdogs, though. They're 3-point favorites in this game. That number feels large, doesn't it? Like
it feels right.
It does feel right for you.
At 3. Yeah, but I just need to win. I'm not laying 3.
No, I'm saying wait. So the number, the Panthers -3 is right for your power rankings. I feel that number is way too. This is going to be a Dallas Cowboys home game. It's not there's no home field advantage baked in this at all, in my opinion. They're 3 points better than Dallas, really?
Well, they're 1.5 points better than Dallas, technically. But
we've glossed over something. Ever since Jeff visited the Panthers, or you went to the game, you were supposed to go to the game, and they honored the 2010 Panthers that game about 4 or 5 weeks ago. Panthers have covered every time since, so I think there's something to that.
They cover the Chiefs and cover the Bucks and cover last week against the Eagles.
Right, Ring of Honor member.
You know what's funny? I got a text from Eric Eager last week, friend of ours, friend of the show, watches the show. He texted me 30 minutes before kickoff of the Panthers game and said, "Bartender and Book It with Trent are both on Philly."
Oh, that's great. That was the best Panthers take obviously is that they're knocking on the door of a win. Right, they're close.
Oh, they beat the Saints a few weeks back,
and they did. But it's a good team, and Dallas obviously is not good right now. They're sort of knocking on that door. They played much better against Kansas City. They play much better against Tampa, against Philly. Like I know moral victories is not really a way we measure things, but you have to feel good if you're Carolina to lose games for your draft. Like Eric is probably like, sweet, we get a higher draft pick. The coaches want to win, obviously, but it's very clear that they're on a much better path than they were months ago. I was wrong about Bryce Young, guys. I thought Bryce Young was done. I thought that was it. They're moving on from him. And they said, they gave him this month off. He wasn't supposed to come back. Dalton got in a car accident, unfortunately. Yeah. And he came back, and that month off did something for him. Maybe a maturity, maybe it was a wake-up call of like, hey, man, like my job's I was drafted 1 overall. I'm already being benched with brand new staff. He has legitimately looked really good. Like there's no, not even just take away like he was the first pick overall. He's made those against pressure. He did not make it early in his career. The offense looks very functional. Like, it looks like a real legit offense that can have success when they get better pieces and better talent moving forward.
Are we going to be having a conversation in the maybe end of the year, next year, the whole Stroud, Bryce Young debate?
Oh man, it's not insane.
Next on Hot Take Network.
Who's
better?
Insane. Yeah. We should do that.
One last thing about this game, though. Where's Dallas at psychologically? Any sliver of hope, and they, if you heard him after Thanksgiving, Micah Parsons said, "Hey, we're coming. We're going to make a run." If they beat the Bengals, who knows? You can win out, run the table here and have a shot. They fumble a punt. They pull the Leon Lett. They lose. Now they're on a short week. Their season's over. Overshawn, who's a big player for them, he's out. This is just a
Brutal injury.
Awful spot for Dallas. It's being baked in now because 3's a lot, but maybe Carolina on the money line because 3 is expensive.
And I think
money line it with the Chiefs.
I was just going to say
that's
what Sammy was talking about getting there with that money line parlay. But yeah, I brought up Stroud because you look at the Texans and they have just been spotty all season long, and now they're a surprisingly short favorite. Like, why is this number only 2.5, 3 over the Dolphins? I mean, the Dolphins have been a different team with Tua, and they won some games, but I would imagine the look ahead line in this game probably. You would have thought Houston would be a little bit bigger favorite than 3, wouldn't you think, Sammy?
Well, I can tell you what Superbook had look ahead. They had 2.5 on December 3rd. So they reopened it 2, actually lower than the look ahead, opened it 2, and now they've written it to 3. So depending on where you shop, 2.5 juiced or a cheap 3, DraftKings Houston -3, -108. I think for every conversation about CJ Stroud, guys, we have to talk about Bobby Slowick. And this was a guy who was thrown into the pot last year as, the next big thing. Every time I watch a Texans game this year, it feels like they run it on first down, run it on second down, and then they make CJ Stroud deal on 3rd and 7. And that is not a recipe for success, no matter who the quarterback is. They have fallen in love with the run. And that's not really what they did last year. So I think they have sort of an identity crisis right now on offense. And I do know some sharp guys that laid some 2.5. I'm not involved in the game. Didn't bet a single dollar. I think that offense has taken a big step back, and there are a lot of variables for that. First year quarterback thrives. Now there's a full year of tape and a full off season to prepare for said quarterback. But their play calling has not been great this season. It has not.
Let me hop in quickly on the play calling issue. I do wonder if it's an offensive line problem, right? Because their offensive line cannot pass protect, or at least hasn't shown the ability to do so. So let's run the football and protect Stroud, right? I will say this, though. Look, the best coaching staffs use a bye. The Texans are off a bye to evaluate. And to Sammy's point, to say, hey, man, like, we can't run the football. Let's not be so run dependent. Let's throw the football. Let's find ways to look. This is supposed to be a Shanahan offense, right? So let's find ways to boot the quarterback, to play action pass, to use the run, at least run formations to set up easy passes for us moving forward. But also, too, guys, I think the Dolphins just aren't very good. Like, their last month has been beat the Raiders, beat the Patriots, lose the Packers in the cold, and then they should have lost the Jets, but the Jets are horrendous. So I would lean Texans here. I trust them off a bye, good coaching staff, make some adjustments. They just did lose one of their safeties, right, I believe, for the season, which isn't great. But I just don't trust the Dolphins. I don't like the way they're made up. I don't like the way they're playing. Very, very reliant on Jonnu Smith being a part of their offense, which I don't really – he's a good football player, but that doesn't feel very sustainable.
Yeah, I'm not shocked the line is 3. I think these teams are maybe more even than we think. Dolphins, motivation standpoint, hey, they're a long shot to make the playoffs, but if they win out, they got a halfway decent shot, which I'm sure they're thinking about. Tua, when he's healthy, they can move the ball. So to me, I'm not opposed to getting the 3 points. And let me just throw it out there. I'm just looking at DraftKings. Any chance Indy at 9-1 can sneak up and catch them and win this division, or is just with the tiebreaker going to Houston, is this just a lost cause here for the Colts to win this division?
I would factor in a Colts loss at Denver this week in my handicap on that. So how would that affect it? Probably.
I would not trust Anthony Richardson to come down the last month of the season and win you a postseason spot, unless you think Houston just totally implodes, which is totally possible. Before we leave, Bear, what are your thoughts on Jets Jaguars? I want to make sure we
the Jaguars might actually be a contest play for me with how awful this NFL card is. If the Jets win out, you need to actually no. It doesn't matter.
Aren't they eliminated?
They are eliminated. Yes.
Yeah.
Bear, you've been a Jets fan long enough. Is there anything more of a lock than the Jets winning 2 of these games down the stretch to hurt their draft position?
Unquestionably.
Yeah, it's just lock it in.
Unquestionably, and that's the thing. Like, with the draft and these quarterbacks, and like where you're going to go. Like, I don't know if any of them are ultimately going to be like this worthy of a top pick. Maybe in like Jets lore, it'll actually work out okay, where they're not going to be tempted by taking a quarterback, and they'll take an edge guy or they'll take an offense. They'll take the position that they actually should take, and they'll be better off for it. I was going to ask you, Will, Monday night Vikings Bears. That first game was really close. The overtime game that was astounding. We were talking about maybe the Vikings defense first and anytime touchdowns there, but 7 straight losses. The Vikings again won, laying 6.5. I wouldn't want to lay 6.5 with the Vikings. Would you?
No, and the Vikings are 11-2. It's a very quiet 11-2. They've had a great season, but they did give up over 7 yards per play last week to Atlanta. That game got a little wonky because they were just, it was a tennis match. Everyone was holding serve until Vikings score a touchdown, and I don't know what the defender on Atlanta was doing falling down. Atlanta fumbles a punt, Vikings score again, and then the game just got away from Atlanta. And the week before, Arizona outgained Minnesota by 200 yards. So starting to worry maybe this Flores defense, opponents are figuring things out. That would be a concern for me. I'm not dying to bet the Bears here, but I would take the points if anything. And man, this is a longer conversation, but as a Viking fan, I don't know what the hell you do with Darnold because he's played so well. It's scary to let him go. It's scary to sign him. You got McCarthy on a rookie deal.
Drafted McCarthy.
I know,
that's
but
the answer.
Sometimes they just look at Darnold's numbers. He's 2 behind the league lead in touchdowns. Bear, I think you and I have a long shot bet on that. He's played really well. He's earned my trust. It's just hard to say goodbye when it's hard to find these quarterbers. I don't know. It's a tough spot.
He's going to be
the Vikings.
He's going back to New York. He's going back to New York to be the Jets quarterback so they can draft an edge rusher this offseason.
Yes, exactly.
Go ahead, Sammy.
The Vikings, though, are addicted to reclamation quarterbacks, whether it be Brad Johnson or Brett Favre or Case Keenum or Sam Bradford or Sam Darnold. It wouldn't be a Vikings team without a recycled quarterback.
Yeah, when you don't draft one, when you don't find one in the draft, you just go through these cycles of just trying to find one any way you can. And Darnold's young enough, man. I don't know what you do. It's not an easy call one way or another.
I will not take any Christian Ponder slander here, Will, on this podcast.
Neither will I, or Joe Webb for that matter.
Joe Webb, yeah.
Christian Ponder.
The Bears had 4 yards at half. You
Christian
guys
Ponder's
say we
a good
can't
man.
bet against the Bears? Give me a break.
Did you see that? It was 3-10. I thought it was 3-10-2. Maybe it was 3-10-4.
They had 4. I think they had 4
Yeah.
yards at halftime, yeah.
At that point, does it matter?
Sammy, your thoughts on the Chicago White Sox trade of Garrett Crochet?
I'm leaving.
Bye, guys.
All right, that was a gambling group chat. Bear, the games, they're a little rough this weekend.
Yeah. There's no middle. There's no middle class.
Correct.
It's either the
top or the
meritocracy or the bottom. This
We have to find 5, though, for our contest.
I know. I gotta find 7.
Oh, 7, you're
I
right.
gotta find 7 for some contests in it's Circa and out west. Just because, and you only get really. I haven't seen the list. Maybe we'll get Sammy's South Carolina State game on there from yesterday for the college pod.
I think you do that, yeah.
Definitely.
You'll have one for your best bets.
I will.
I'm going to go with my fade of the week first. And I'm going to fade what we talked about at the top of the show, the New York Giants offense. Under 13.5 points against Baltimore Ravens this weekend. Baltimore's off a bye and off a loss. Like, they're going to be an angry team coming to MetLife. I'm not touching that 16.5, 17-point spread here. We talked about earlier, guys. The Giants don't have good football players, okay? Their quarterback's not good. Their best wide receivers beat up. Their offensive line's not good. Like, they're not going to score against this Ravens team that it does have their faults, obviously, and that's pass defense, though, Bear. The Giants can't pass the football in this game. I am always concerned about late touchdowns and garbage time, which does worry me. But is Tommy DeVito good enough to garbage time touchdown the Ravens? I don't know. But a lot of these numbers this week are pretty bad, Bear. So I'm going to go the team total here, take the Giants team total under.
That's what worries me about under 13.5
Yes.
with the Giant team, because it could be 37-7. And then
late touchdown.
And you could have some Ravens backups in there. So that would work. But I completely get your rationale and your logic there with I'm sure it'll be a very
Fun game to
very, very, very positive home crowd in the Meadowlands this weekend too. Right?
It'd be positively filled with Ravens fans.
Exactly. Quick drive up 95 to MetLife. But yeah, the Atlanta Falcons should not be favored by 4 points over anyone on the road. For my best bet of the week, presented by DraftKings Sportsbook, I am taking the Raiders +4 against the
Autumn wind is a Raider.
Look, you could take Tyler, our producer, put him under center, hand the ball off to Will Hill, Sammy P lined up in the flanker spot. You get the wide receiver, like used to start in the 3-point stance. Get Sammy out there, me and Geoff and Mitchell Schwartz right now out there as an offensive line, and the Falcons shouldn't be favored by 4 points over that team. Like, you're going to get turnovers. We talked a little bit earlier, like the Raiders still have some pieces and some things, and they're competing. I know their quarterback situation is a little bit of a mess, but unless the Falcons go to Michael Penix here to maybe kickstart that offense as a team that is completely spiraling around the drain, looking with their playoff hopes going to waste. I can't lay 4 points with Atlanta on the road against anybody. I think the Raiders, for as bad as their record is, like I said, I think they've shown some fight. They played the Chiefs tough at home. They played the Chargers tough. They nearly beat the Chiefs in Kansas City. So, like, as bad as the record is, at least there are some positives to take away. So my best bet, I took the Raiders.
This will also be a contest play for me. There's just no, you have to, because all the points you made, and they're being defiant about this Michael Penix situation. We're not playing, they're not saying that. It's like, Kirk Cousins is our guy. Have you watched? He's losing you a chance for a playoff spot this year.
Again, the only difference is maybe we are not at practice.
Correct. And I've said this before. Maybe he's not ready. It's certainly true.
But you would think he would be.
Well, because the rest of the quarterbacks that are young in the NFL are playing well too. Right. So you figure that he would be able to play.
He's the oldest of them.
Correct. And he looked okay in the preseason, but obviously certainly fair that we do not see practice and whatnot. My best bet presented by DraftKings Sportsbook is A.J. Brown over 5.5 receptions. I love it to bet wide receiver overs.
You've got your Eagles green done.
I do have my Eagles green.
I like it. Fly Eagles fly.
I did this because your wife is here, and I know how much she hates that I hate the Steelers. So I wore my Eagles green for this show. I like taking wide receivers over their receptions when there's turmoil, because what happens is, we don't want there to be turmoil in the locker room. So what's Jalen Hurts going to do?
First drive of the game.
A.J. Brown. Like, it's going to be that way the entire game. And the Steelers defense is good. Like, I'm not, it's not discrediting Steelers. It's what they're going to do to get Brown the ball. Because that's how you stop this, right? You stop it with Brown getting the football, and then everyone's square again, right? So I think Brown gets a lot of targets early in the game. There's easy ways to do it, right? Wide receiver screens. Like, there's ways to get him the ball very quickly in a game. I think they'll take advantage of that. It's even at plus money. So plus, I think it's about plus 110, plus 120 right now. So A.J. Brown over 5.5 receptions on the DraftKings Sports.
And the Steelers have some injuries on that defense too, on the interior of the defensive line as well, right? I think.
Yeah, they've had him for a couple of weeks now. Yeah.
So I mean, we'll see if they can.
But the Eagles' offensive line, like I'm not worried about the Eagles' offensive line blocking this game. The Eagles' offensive line is fantastic.
Right.
The Lane Watt thing is going to be a lot of fun to watch.
Totally.
So it's just a matter of Hurts getting the ball out to Brown. Like, there have been times he's been open, he hasn't thrown the ball. All week they're going to drill him. Throw the ball. So Brown will be open. It's a matter of Hurts getting him the football.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to maybe it's funny. We're talking about Bills Lions maybe as a Super Bowl preview. Maybe Steelers Eagles as a Super Bowl preview. Keystone State Super Bowl. No, you're not buying it.
I'm not buying the Steelers side of this.
Well,
I haven't bought all season, so
no.
Maybe I'm the wrong.
I was going to say you've been buying all season, and I am so happy that I'm not happy that I misread my early season bet, but I am happy that I was smart enough, at least early on, to get off it and make it a little bit of a vigor. But we'll see. Eagles, Ravens on the road, then Chiefs, Bengals. So I mean, it's not there yet for the Steelers to completely clinch this division. So I'll do it for another week in the books, wrapping down the regular season here in the NFL. Thanks again, everyone, as always, for downloading wherever you get your podcasts, Apple, Spotify, the Bear Bets YouTube channel as well, and of course, the edition now on FS1, which is fun to be on linear TV, as the kids say these days. For Geoff, for Sammy, for Will, I'm the Bear. Thanks again, everyone. Remember, less you bet, more you lose when you win.